Hello. In this week's Torah portion, Vayakhel, we're reminded again to observe Shabbat. Quote, on 6 days work may be done, but on the seventh day you will observe a Shabbat of complete rest, holy to the Lord. You shall kindle no fire throughout your habitations on Shabbats. End of quote. Earlier, it was made clear the prohibition extended to everybody, including animals. Quote, you shall not do any work on Shabbats. You, your son, your daughter, your male slave, your female slave, your cattle, or the stranger who is within your settlements. Unquote. Yet, in spite of this, a tradition developed in Eastern Europe to hire a Gentile to do prohibited work on Shabbats. He is known as the Shabbat Goy, or Gentile for Shabbat. Famous examples are Russian writer Maxim Gorky, President Harry Truman, Secretary Colin Powell, Governor Mario Cuomo, film producer Martin Scorsese, and even famous singer Elvis Presley. Does Jewish law allow this practice? Generally, no. The Code of Jewish Law specifically allows it for heating a house in extremely cold weather, because it may be a matter of life or death, in which case most commandments may be broken. I quote, it is permitted for a Gentile to make a fire for Jews on Shabbat when it is extremely cold, because everyone is at risk of catching a cold, unquote. This was particularly important in Eastern Europe, where temperatures could dip very low in winter, whence the institution of the practice. It was allowed even when the cold was uncomfortable, but not a threat to life. The Shabbat Goy would visit Jewish houses on Shabbat to add wood to the source of heat. Rabbi Moshe Feinstein also allows it when it's very hot, but not all agree with him. Today, central heating, timers, and thermostats have removed the need for the Shabbat Goy. But one may ask, if it is permitted for a Gentile, why is it not permitted for a Jew? It is, but only if a life is at stake, not just for comfort. It's also allowed when great monetary loss might ensue, such as a fire in a house or place of business on Shabbat. Quote, if you are threatened with a loss, for instance, if a barrel of wine has sprung a leak, you may call in a non-Jew, provided you carefully avoid talking to him in a way that sounds like a request to repair it. You may say in his presence, but not to him, whoever will save me from this loss will not lose anything. The Or HaHayim from 18th century Morocco, in commenting on our verse, writes, the Torah may also wish to remind us that performance of work on Shabbat is prohibited, whether performed by a Jew or by a Gentile on his behalf. The word lo ta'aseh, work shall not be done, is in the passive form, which means that whereas it is permissible for a Jew to have his work performed by Gentiles during the week, on Shabbat, his work must not be performed at all by anybody. In all other cases, it's generally prohibited to use a Shabbat Goy, even if he works for free, even if he was hired before Shabbat. If he works on his own accord, or if someone else hires him, the Jew must protest and try to stop him. If he fails, he may benefit from that work only after Shabbat is over. This is so even if the work is done far from the Jew's house. A Jew may not have Gentile employees work at his place of business on Shabbat. However, if he has a Gentile partner, the latter may run the business as he sees fit on Shabbat. However, a Gentile is allowed to do the work if paid by the job, without specifying when the job must be done. Example, cars or appliances sent out to be repaired. A Jew may not insist that the work not be done on Shabbat. If a Gentile does prohibited work for his own purposes, a Jew may benefit from it. The Mishnah says, quote, if a Gentile kindle the lamp on Shabbat for his own benefit, a Jew may use its light. If a Gentile drew water from a well in the public domain to give his animal to drink, a Jew may give his own animal to drink after him of the same water. If a Gentile made a ramp on Shabbat to disembark from a ship, a Jew may disembark after him. However, if the Gentile knows the Jew, it is prohibited, because he may have intended to benefit the Jew as well. The rule is simple: no work by or for Jews on Shabbats, except in rare cases. Shabbat Shalom.